folks, as you can see, I'm partway through doing the second coat on these rear frames. It's quite a clever technique. If you put too much on, you just go back over it with your brush until you brush most of it back off. The idea is to try and get imitation wood. I do have a little template that I bought from the same company a while back when I did the swap with, where you make imitation wood with on metal using 3 different shades of brown. But this, for a bigger area, works just as good. You can see it actually looks a little bit like wood, and it's going to be coated in oak varnish in a few minutes. When that's dried, try and take the big splodges out. Make sure the windows are all clear. I'm quite pleased with that. So there you go, that's how it's done. I'll come back when I do the oak varnish in a few minutes. Chance to set, it's not looking too bad. It does kind of look like wood. It looked a little bit more rich in a minute when I put some of this oak stained varnish on. We'll see what the difference is. Let's put some light on the subject so I can see what I'm doing. You notice I'm always going in the same direction with the brush here. If you're trying to simulate wood, then you've got to simulate the grain of the wood, which hopefully is what I'm doing. And by going back over it, I'm making sure it's not too thick, the varnish or whatever it is you're putting on. You can see if you put it on thick, it sits there, but it does dry out, so there's no point in having a great big thick coating of varnish in there. It's all going to just disappear. It's quite an effective colour, I must admit. I'd never thought of doing it like this before. So I just hope you can see around my big hands what I'm doing. I think you can. This little one here is going to be the fun one to try and get right, because it's got a lot of holes. And paint and varnish have a habit of wanting to congregate around a hole and fill it up. I don't know what it is about liquids, and well, I suppose if you're a kid, you played with bubbles, and the bubbles work on that principle. You know, water has a surface tension, soap adds to that tension, and other things take away from it. That's how you make bubbles. You play on the surface tension and then you expand on it. I'm just rambling while I'm talking. And as you can probably hear, my cold is still not gone. It's getting to be a bit annoying. I had the 100-day cough, which I thought disappeared round about December time or January time, but it seems to have come back. I'm pretty sure this is the same sort of cough and splutter that I had then. So the trouble is now my wife has it as well, so we're a right pair between us. suppose it's inevitable. If one of us gets it, the other's going to get it. The hardest part here is to see which parts you've covered already and which parts you haven't. And you also have to be careful that you don't rub it back off. Right, just this bottom part, and then it will be allowed to set till before I go on to the next part. Looks like today is going to be all paint, so you can go through phases like this, like I had a week of just building cannons. That was fun. I'm sure you'll agree. There's not a lot to see on a video then when you do that, because it's, let's face it, who wants to sit and watch paint dry? I don't know why I'm bothering so much with these window frames, because they're going to be painted in a few minutes, but yeah, if it's on there, it's on there. You know it's there. Nice rich colour in places, isn't it? It's really quite nice. Right, let that set, and I'll be back to do the window frames very shortly. Guys, that's it. Painted. The window frames painted. You can see where I've had to touch it up just a few places. The trouble with painting on brass, as I said last night, I think I need to find some way of cleaning the brass before I start painting on it, which will let the paint stick to the brass better. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. Okay, that's me for today. I'll carry on with this tomorrow. For you it's a few seconds. Get this going. I need to get this in a position where I can work on these back plates. Get the wires out of the way. Now this first plate, I suppose, is going to be the trickiest, because it has to go into these little slots that we have. Now I need to bring my magnifier over top, just so I can see the slots. That one needs to be opened up a little bit. Okay, that's easy done. Let's see. Next part is more painting to make imitation wood. All these side bits have to be done up. Now, these bits, it's showing dark on there, which to me indicates 42, but yet they also show this and all these as being painted. So yeah, doesn't matter, they can all be painted, that's not a problem. Base coat first. Oh, I think I got a bit too much there, but you can't put it back. Okay, big brush, put plenty on, doesn't hurt. I was going to try an experiment first, wasn't I? Let's just see if it'll sneak. Clean that up. This one takes a few seconds. No, it's a different part of the paper. Now, I have a habit of talking with a paintbrush in my mouth. My wife drives my wife daft. This is denatured alcohol. And we'll just give it a little wipe with this to see if it maybe takes the paint a little bit better. Because, well, you've seen on the previous sheets that the paint, you only have to touch it and it's off. And I think it's because the metal is not prepared to take the paint in the first place. But yeah, we'll try it with this and we'll see. Give it a good clean with denatured alcohol. We'll see how it goes. Right, let's not forget to put the top back on the bottle. Right, now we'll try again. Don't have to wait very long because it dries basically instantly. You can't tell when you're putting the paint on if it's taking or not. It does seem to be though. The paint does seem to be sticking a bit better than it did before. We'll see. Now I want to do this very light over here because otherwise you end up filling all the gratings in. And you end up like I did before, sitting with a pin and clearing all the blockages. It's not a big problem, it's just a nuisance. You can tell it's the weekend. We've got all kinds of little projects going on round about us. One person's having something done in his garden, another person's having something done in his garden, something different done in his garden. And it's forecast to be quite a warm day today. We'll see. I know it's forecast to be something, I think 27 degrees tomorrow, my wife said. Something like that. Warm anyway. I have to get the barbecue cleaned up, ready to use the barbecue grill set up. Well, I'm going to do these as well, but I don't know what they are. But it shows everything on this sheet is being painted, so blow the hole. Yep, there we go. Now then, the other side. Yeah, this imitation wood effect is, well, just that, quite effective. As I said, when I did the sock with, I got a wood template which is up the back there somewhere. And basically you start with one colour, then you use a darker colour, and you move the well, you start with a base colour, so, and then you put the template on and do the second, which is a slightly darker colour. Then you wait for that to set, then you move the template again to a different position, and you use a third colour which is even darker, and what you end up with is a very effective wood grain effect, and it's all done on metal. You would never believe, well, I'll show you the pictures later when I do the video of models I've done in the last couple of years. The sock width is one of them, obviously, and I'll show you the wood effect on that. And it is, this paint seems to be taken quite easily on the metal. Yeah, the wood effect, as I was saying, is quite effective. I mean, it's not like you're up there with a magnifying glass checking that every grain is in the right place, but yeah, it stands up to scrutiny, that's for sure. I hope they give you plenty of paint, because I've used a whole load here just to do this sheet. Now make sure it's not going to stick to the paper. Move it like I did. Prop it up somehow. There we are. And I'll come back when it's time to do the next colour. So right, one of the things that has to be done is to make space for these side pieces which are going to go in. This trim, decoration, whatever, has to be cut. So what I've done is followed the line between these two decks. You can see the line there, and I've just come out a bit, just lent it out a little bit to make a nice clean line, and that's the line I'm going to cut. So I'm going to cut up, I'm going to try and cut. I hope you can see what I'm doing. I keep moving it. If I rotate it a bit more, can you still see? Let me just check. You can see, yes you can. So, I'm tipping it on its side. I can see that I've got must have tipped some glue or something there, which I'm going to have to trim. Now, I don't know if this saw is going to do it. We'll try it. And you can see even in the pictorial representation that they do take quite a bit of paint off, and so you have to touch these up afterwards. Now, if that cuts like that, I'll be quite happy. Try to make sure I don't cut through the deck underneath. I don't mind the sawdust line, that's nothing. So between painting up these bits which go on the side and this little bit of separation here, plenty of little work. It's all fiddly diddly stuff. And there's a wasp in again. I don't know where they're coming in because the door's shut. They must have a secret entrance. As long as you don't come down here and sting me, I don't care. But it's that time of the year when the wild wasps, well, they're all wild wasps, aren't they? It's when they're looking for somewhere to nest. So you just have to be a bit wary. There we go. That came off quite clean, didn't it? So now I'll match this one up to that. And we'll try it again. I suppose it'll all make sense when the bits for the back end are put in as well. So. You can almost hear the wood crack as you cut through it. But it didn't take much force to take it off. So there we go, they look to be in line. And this one up here is slightly on a different line because the angles change between these walls. So I've just got to check how much of this is to be cut off. The great thing with these little saws is they really cut, and you have to keep your hands out of the way. They do cut you. I think if you watch back a few days, I used the saw blade to free a piece of wood and ended up catching my finger with it. Didn't hurt, but it did cut. Well, it bruised. It didn't cut through. I should think I'm going to end up with quite a bit of scrap wood, if you like, down in the bowels of this ship. And a number of pieces of wood that have slipped and gone down there. Every now and again you see me tip the shell upside down, tip out all the rubbish that's in there. It's when you hope that all the other stuff, like the deck furniture and the cannons, you hope they're all going to stay in place while you tip it upside down. This doesn't want to come out, and there it goes. It's going. Hey, I stuck it well, didn't I? It don't want to come out. It will. I don't want to get the sanding wheel on it. That's too much overkill, I think. You have to watch what you use as a pressure point to cut through, because you can end up breaking something that you don't want to be broken. I wonder if I can grab it with the pliers. That will help. Ah, yeah. Right, just trim that off now with my blade, and I think we're good to go. Now, I will look at my pictorial and see what it shows me about this top bar. I think it has to be trimmed as well, but they've trimmed it. Roughly about here. Halfway along that one. So about there. You can see there's going to be a few bits of touching up to do. That's okay. Right. Nip that bit out. Yeah. That'll come out easy. Right. Some paint sorting out to do, which I'll probably do later today. Now we'll do the other side. I'll come back to you when I've got it done. As we move on to the second phase of painting these imitation wood, using a watered down version of this coffee brown. Now, they say to use 20% paint, 80% water. Right, you tell me how you measure, and without measuring in cc's. So basically I do it by eyeball. If it looks too thick, it probably is too thick, but it doesn't take much to do it. What is worth noting is the direction of the grain. The direction the brush is going in is simulating the grain of the wood, so I try to keep it as near as possible in the same direction. Obviously there's some places where you have to turn your brush around, but you just go back over it in the right direction and hey presto, it's done. Just like that. Keep the strokes light. You don't want it all covered up, and then we'll find out later if it's stuck to the brass better, having been soaked in well, not soaked, but cleaned off denatured alcohol before we started. Some of these bits are going to be painted in the famous dark red leather, which is kind of a dark brown, but majority of it is going to be then stained with this you see what happens when the paint gets too thick? It ceases to look like wood and just looks like a dark brown mess. I think that one's going to have to be cleaned out. And you see what's happening there. If you turn the frame, so the runny paint runs in another direction, which really is what we don't want. So we'll keep it vertical that way for now, and I'll carry on and finish it off. Don't know what this little bit down the bottom is, but keep the holes clear. We'll no doubt find out what that is later on. This is where I end up crossing my hands now. Wonder what I'm doing there. I'm taking the heaviest of the paint off on the side before I go to this lattice work, because I don't want a lot of paint on my brush when I get to the lattice work. It's already starting to look the right colour, so I should be getting my red paint out in a minute and touching up shell of the hull, where I just took that those pieces of wood out at the back where this is going to sit, in fact, and that'll be that touched up as well. I'm afraid this video session is going to be nearly all painting and cutting little bits out. It has to be done. Now I'm pretty sure you'll agree that the end result, even after it's varnished, is going to be pretty effective. I'm going to stand it up because I don't want it running and I don't want it sticking to pieces of paper again. So, okay, I'm onto the hull now. See you in a minute. The frames are all covered in varnish now. Only thing left to do is to outline the window frames, and if you look on the ship you'll see the back end has been tidied up and a little bit of paint applied just to fill in the holes, and a bit along there where I had some spillage. Okay, let all this paint set and we'll move on to the next stage. We have all the frames painted. I did darken off those angle frames. I think they are the background to some of the pieces, probably these, but we'll see that when we come to it. Okay, that's me for today. Back with it, well, for me tomorrow, for you in a few seconds, like I said before. Have a nice evening. Spotted a mistake, so I took these back off the ship to correct it. The problem was I had used a piece of acetate that I had sitting around to make the windows, and then I realised they're telling you to use this, what would you call it, smoked glass imitation? It's opaque anyway, so I had to go back and redo these ones, and in the process of doing so I kind of wiped paint a bit off this bottom one, so I repainted it, and I'm just waiting to do the window frames and varnish it, and then I'll put some opaque covering on it and it'll be back on the ship. I may get that done today, but if not, then I'll close the video here. The very most I'll probably just show you a few stills from if I get them reinstalled. So if you like what I'm doing, same as usual, like, share, subscribe if you haven't already done so. I'll try and keep it interesting, but as you can hear, I've still got my cold. I'm now on antibiotics, so I won't be doing very much modelling because it's very difficult to concentrate with this cold. But I'll do what I can. Okay, see you on the next one. Back and take some pictures. It all went back together fairly straightforward. And you see a few places where I've cut it with my fingers, but that touch up the paint, it's not too bad. And I've worked my way up the side. Got to here. I haven't put the top one in yet. This is all just been put on not 5 minutes ago. You can see I cut it again with my finger, but that just needs a little bit of varnish and it'll be good to go. So the idea being now, when you put the lights on, you see why you have to have the smoky glass in. Oh, my lights didn't work. I must have a short circuit somewhere, and I think I know where it is. It's going to be a killer to try and sort out. I think it's under here. Oh well, I will find it. I'm pretty sure it's under there. I'll have to see if I can get in from the side and fix it. Okay, so I don't know if these batteries are in or out. So what I'll do is I'll disconnect the batteries and I'll see you on the next one. It was something simple. 2 wires had got stuck together at the ends and they were naked, but you can see the effect that that has. That is quite effective, isn't it? Even to the sides. Yeah, pleased. Okay, glad I fixed that without much problem. Okay, I shall continue with all this rear end assemblage on the next video. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. See you on the next one.